Unlock miraculous wealth, 3 divine secrets revealed for supernatural abundance and deliverance. In a bustling heart of the city, where neon lights danced upon rain-slicked streets, lived Sarah, a devoted single mother. Each night, she knelt beside her worn bed, whispering fervent prayers to God, her heart overflowing with hope. With 2 children to raise and bills piling high like walls around her, she was desperate for a miracle. Guided by faith, she believed in supernatural abundance, yet her life was shadowed by financial strain. Lord, show me your wonders, she cried, longing for divine intervention. One Sunday night, the atmosphere in her church crackled with energy. Pastor Joseph, a man of God revered for his profound wisdom, stepped to the pulpit. His voice soared, "Bring forth your needs. God is ready to unlock miraculous wealth, just as he fed the 5,000 with 5 loaves." The congregation shared excited murmurs, but Sarah's heart raced with both hope and doubt. As testimony after testimony of divine provision echoed back to her, she felt a fire ignite within. God was listening, but home brought a stark contrast. Neighbors whispered and family rolled their eyes, impatience etched across their faces. "Faith does not pay bills, Sarah," they would murmur, skepticism hovering like a thick fog. Each scornful glance was a razor's edge against her resolve. The world was cold and unyielding, questioning the miraculous while she clung to her prayers. Just when despair clawed at her heart, she lost her job. The news hit like a thunderclap, deafening and overwhelming. Tears streamed down her face like a storm. She teetered on the edge of surrendering her faith, frantically searching for pieces of hope and pragmatic solutions that felt like quicksand beneath her feet. And the swirl of darkness, a gentle knock at her door broke the silence. An unassuming old man, his eyes twinkling with wisdom that seemed eternal, stood before her. "Child," he said quietly, "I bring you the first divine secret." He spoke of sowing seeds of faith, of believing that even the smallest act could yield a harvest beyond imagination. Her heart warmed. It was as if this wise man was sent straight from heaven. Fueled by newfound inspiration, she planned a community prayer event. As word spread, neighbors, once doubtful, found themselves gathering to share burdens, united under the flickering streetlights, seeking divine answers. The second secret of provision began to unfold, interwoven with testimonies of unexpected blessings that flowed like rivers through their community. Around her, miracles began rippling outward, displacing despair with shimmering hope. Prayer gatherings blossomed into friendships, unearthing the third sacred truth, the promise that God's abundance could change lives, transcending their debts and fears. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, just as a breakthrough shimmered on the horizon, doubt whispered in Sarah's ear. Could such miraculous wealth really manifest? Battling an internal storm, she stood at the crossroads of faith and pragmatism. As the community rallied behind her, she questioned, would she surrender fully to the divine path illuminated before her? The winds of change were stirring, yet the stakes climbed higher. Uncertainty wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. What would she choose? Would they all witness the miraculous shift they craved? The answer lingered just out of reach, as Sarah felt the pulse of the extraordinary awaiting them all, a miracle ready to burst forth just beyond the horizon. The days that followed were a blend of promise and turbulence. Sarah awoke each morning with a heart afire, yet the shadows of doubt clung tightly to her spirit. She would rise before the sun, kneeling in prayer, calling upon God to reveal his plan. "Lord, I trust you, help my disbelief," she whispered, her hands trembling with the weight of her burdens. Her community prayer event grew, and with it, hope flickered like a beacon. People came, some weary, some eager, all yearning for answers. Neighbors who had once scoffed now shared their stories of loss and struggle, but also of small miracles. One by one, they began sharing their own seeds of faith, responding to the gentle nudge of the Holy Spirit. At one gathering, as they huddled close, an elderly woman named Ruth took center stage, her voice soft yet steady. "I was once like many of you," she began, tears glistening in her eyes. "I lost my job and my spirit. But one day, I gave a stranger my last coin. That evening, I found an envelope on my porch filled with cash, a gift from God." Gasps rippled through the crowd, igniting a spark of faith. Laughter blended with tears as they realized they were sharing something sacred. Sarah watched, heart swelling. This was it. The third divine secret community. Together, they could manifest miracles through shared faith. She stood to share her own doubts, her fears. "I fear what comes next, but these stories give me strength. Let us rise together in faith." Later that evening, as the event wound down, Sarah took the old man aside. "Why did you choose me to reveal these secrets? I'm just a mother with nothing to offer." He smiled gently, eyes glowing with wisdom. "Child, God does not measure your worth by what you have, but by your heart's willingness to believe." His words settled deep, resonating with her spirit. She felt the weight of her trials lift, replaced by a sense of purpose that coursed through her. Perhaps she could do more than just survive. Perhaps she was meant to thrive. As weeks turned into months, the prayer gatherings transformed into a tightly knit community. They organized food drives and fundraisers, each act a testament of their growing faith. Each blessing unfolded like petals of a blooming flower, revealing unexpected sources of support: friends, family, strangers, all responding to the call to unite in God's love. Yet, as Sarah rejoiced in this newfound family, the storms of life still raged outside. Her bills piled high, and anxiety crept back into her heart. What if the next miracle doesn't come? She pondered late one night, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavy against her chest. She desperately sought answers, praying till exhaustion pulled her into sleep, and there, in the silence of the night, a vision flickered to life, a vibrant tapestry of light. In her dream, a voice spoke clearly from within: "The path ahead is more wondrous than you can imagine, trust me fully." Awaking with a start, she felt bewildered yet emboldened. With trembling hands, she clutched her Bible, flipping to Jeremiah 29 verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you." As the words washed over her, she felt an inexplicable peace. Was it possible that everything was aligning precisely as ordained? Gathering her courage, Sarah summoned her community for another prayer meeting. "I had a vision," she announced, heart racing. "A promise of abundance. But what does it mean?" Excitement crackled in the air, flooding the room. They leaned in, their faces aglow with anticipation. What did God have in store for them? Little did they know, the next chapter in their journey was unfolding rapidly. The miracle they all yearned for was closer than they realized. What awaited them? Would they embrace the uncertainty ahead and step into the fullness of divine promise? The answer lingered like a sweet fragrance, drawing them further into the mystery of faith. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden rays across the meeting hall, Sarah's heart raced with the weight of anticipation. She looked out over the faces of her friends, their eyes shimmering with hope and curiosity. Would they grasp the depth of the promise she had felt so profoundly? She took a deep breath, longing to convey the vision that had ignited her spirit. "Brothers and sisters," she began, her voice steady but emotion-laden, "last night, I was blessed with a vision. It stirred something deep within me, and I believe it holds a message for all of us." The room fell silent, their yawning hearts tuned in closely. God is saying that our journey is not just about survival. It's about abundance, an abundance that flows beyond material wealth. It's a renewal of our spirits and blessings that can be shared. Gasps of disbelief mixed with murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. A young man named David stood to his feet, excitement building in his gaze. "What does that mean for us, Sarah? How do we embrace this fullness?" The question hung in the air, a call to action that Sarah knew was pivotal. "We must open our hearts wider to receive and give," she responded. "We have to trust Him and each other, just like Ruth shared. Miracles happen when we least expect them." As she spoke, a breeze swept through the hall, causing the flickering candles to dance in unison. Many took it as an omen, a gentle nod from the Holy Spirit affirming their presence. Spirit-laden words spilled forth, as she continued to share. Let us remember the stories we've exchanged. Each act of kindness, every moment of faith is building a thread in this tapestry of abundance. We can support one another and become vessels of His love. Her voice crescendoed with growing conviction. This is our time. Together, we can step into the divine abundance God has in store. Not just for us, but for everyone around us, our families, our neighbors. Can you feel it? Nods and soft cries of agreement echoed back to her, building a wave of spiritual energy that swept through the hall. Encouraged, Sarah outlined a plan. Let us commit to one act of kindness each week, showing our trust in God's provision. Let it be our mission to uplift one another and share the testimonies of faith that arise. Applause erupted, resonating as an anthem of unity and hope. Their spirits soared, interconnected by divine promise. Yet even amidst their joy, Sarah felt the tinge of unease creeping back. It was the question that plagued her thoughts. What if I falter? What if we fail? That night, her prayers turned more desperate, a plea for assurance. Lord, show me the way. Help my heart to align with your abundance, she prayed fervently. As she drifted into sleep, visions flooded her mind again. This time, she saw a colossal door, vibrant and adorned with gold, bathed in heavenly light. What lies beyond? She whispered, reaching out in her dream as the door creaked open just a fraction. A voice spoke once more, sweet and reassuring. The abundance is not in material gain, but in the love and hope you share. Step through, and you will see. She awoke with determination, the message clear. The journey wasn't solely about them. It was tied closely to their faith in the communal bond they formed. In the days that followed, they grew not only in spirit but in action. They reached out, forming deeper connections, planning for larger community events to feed the hungry and clothe the needy. Yet, as they thrived in one area, another challenge loomed: bills that seemed insurmountable and doubts that lingered. In whispers and broken conversations, fear crept in. Did they really trust in the promise of abundance? Beneath the surface of hope, anxieties flared. Sarah knew they needed a breakthrough, another divine confirmation to push through the storm. Maybe we should pray for a miracle about our finances too, she suggested during their next gathering. Her voice trembled, vulnerability spilling into the space that pulsed with uncertainty. An air of tension hung heavily, challenges waiting for their embrace. Would they act in faith, stepping forward into the abundant life promised to them? Sarah's heart raced, knowing the door to divine provision was mere inches away. Would they take that first step, believing wholeheartedly in God's plan? The anticipation simmered. The answer loomed ahead, like the sun waiting to rise after the darkest night. As the days rolled on, Sarah and her friends gathered again in the vibrant meeting hall. The air seemed charged, heavy with expectancy as they prepared to dive deeper into their shared journey. This time, the flickering candlelight felt oddly like the guiding presence of something much greater, a divine invitation to unlock the fullness that awaited them. Sarah stood at the forefront, her heart enkindled with purpose. Let us open today's meeting with prayer, she suggested, her voice steady yet infused with a sense of urgency. The room bowed their heads, as they whispered sincere petitions for clarity, unity, and most importantly faith. Lord, grant us the courage to trust your abundance, she prayed, echoing the desire shared amongst all. When they opened their eyes, a sense of peace enveloped them, softening their doubts. Yet, Sarah could still feel the heaviness of lingering fear beneath the surface. David raised his hand, breaking the momentary silence. What do we do if we still don't see God's provision? If we take these steps, but nothing changes? His question hung heavy in the air. Taking a deep breath, Sarah replied, faith is often tested in the waiting. Remember the story of the Israelites? They wandered in the wilderness, yet God provided manna every day. It didn't always look grand, but it was what they needed. Her words were met with nods, but she could see uncertainty still clouded some hearts. She sensed the urgency to fortify their collective faith. Let us share testimonies of past provisions, miracles we've experienced. It will remind us of His faithfulness. A murmur of agreement swept through the room, and soon voices emerged, weaving stories of answered prayers and unexpected blessings. An older woman named Esther shared, I once had nothing for my children's school fees. I prayed, and the very next day, a neighbor knocked on my door with an envelope filled with cash. Gasps of surprise echoed, and Sarah felt the warmth of faith rekindling in their midst. I remember a time I was jobless, piped in a young girl, Ella, but through encouragement from this group, I held on. Soon after, I found a job that felt like a dream. The room erupted in applause, and joy seeped into the air, washing over their worry. "See," Sarah said, her spirit lifted by the shared faith. "These are the miracles in our tapestry. They are the threads that show His heart towards us. What if we began each week by writing down our prayers for abundance, but also marking every small blessing we receive?" Encouragement bubbled in the crowd. The thought of taking proactive steps aligned with their faith gave them hope, and they agreed unanimously. They decided that every week, they would not only pray for abundance but also celebrate the little miracles that arose amidst their efforts. Yet as they wound down, Sarah felt a pull in her spirit, an impression that tonight, something monumental was awaiting them. Let us end with a moment of stillness. Listen for what God might reveal. Instinctively, they closed their eyes again, allowing an expectant hush to envelop them. A gentle hum filled the room, and Sarah could almost hear the whispers of divine reminder, cascading through the air like notes from a heavenly symphony. But within that stillness came a stirring doubt, a question that surfaced once more in Sarah's heart. What if the signs remained elusive? Could they truly step through the door of promise awaiting them? And as she pondered this, she could feel others wrestling with their concerns, uncertainties looming like clouds threatening rain upon their newly fostered hope. The door of abundance rested ajar, inviting but shrouded in mystery. What awaited them on the other side? What divine confirmation would arise to dispel their fear and reveal a new chapter in their journey? As they opened their eyes, the weight of the unknown lingered, and the air pulsated with both anticipation and faith. What would God unveil next on this sacred journey to abundance? A stillness hung palpably in the air, thick with the unspoken hopes and fears that lingered within each heart present. As Sarah watched her friends, she sensed their shared trepidation, yet there was also a glimmer of anticipation, the promise of what awaited them behind that door of abundance. "Let us open our hearts," she prompted gently, "and listen for His voice." A hush fell over the room as silence deepened, stretching into a sacred moment. The flickering candlelight danced, casting shadows like whispers of encouragement. Each flicker seemed to pulse with a rhythm His presence. Suddenly, a soft but firm voice broke the stillness. It was Samuel, a quiet man who often preferred to listen rather than speak. "What if abundance doesn't just come through waiting?" he asked, his eyes gleaming with a newfound resolve. "What if we have to step out in faith to see the miracles?" There was a collective inhalation as his words hung in the air, striking a chord that reverberated through everyone. Sarah's heart quickened. That's a profound thought, Samuel. Stepping out can feel daunting, but maybe that's where true abundance lies, in our willingness to act when we can't yet see. David leaned forward, his brow furrowing in thought. But how do we know where to step first? It's easy to act in ignorance. Sarah smiled, reassured by the depth of their conversation. We begin with prayer. We seek His guidance, but also tune into the nudges of our hearts. God often speaks quietly, through the stillness and restlessness, showing us the path. A murmur of agreement spread through the group. This idea ignited their imaginations, lighting the path ahead. Let us not just pray, but also share what those nudges look like, Sarah encouraged, her voice radiant. What steps are emerging for you, even in this moment? One by one, they began speaking. Esther's voice rose again, her features glowing with inspiration. Last week, I felt led to buy a new coat for a homeless man I often see. I was concerned about my budget, but the moment I saw him wearing it, I felt an abundance of joy that filled my heart and spirit. Ella chimed in with eagerness. I felt a push to volunteer more, so I joined a local outreach program. It's not just about giving, it's changed how I view my own circumstances. As they shared, the atmosphere transformed. Walls of doubt that had shadowed the group crumbled like old stone, revealing a vibrant landscape of hope and possibility. They began to feel that stepping forward in faith offered more than an outcome. It promised a connection with God and each other. But just then, the peaceful exchange took an unexpected turn. A young man named Mark, with furrowed brows and shaking hands, stood up. What if our faith doesn't result in the miracles we hope for? What if we step out and nothing happens? The room turned quiet, the weight of his question pressing down like a heavy stone. Sarah could feel dozens of eyes turning toward her, seeking solace. Her heart raced, but she sensed it was an opportunity. Sometimes, she began slowly, the answers we seek may not come in the way we envision, but they're there, shifting the ground beneath our feet, teaching us resilience. Even in the silence, God is at work. A murmur of warmth responded, and a renewed strength emerged from the group. Together, they were navigating the uncertainties of faith, wrestling with the divine, both the highs and the lows. Let us remember, Sarah added, abundance might not always mean riches. It could mean an anchor of peace amid the storm, or clarity even in confusion. The flickering light felt more vibrant now, reflecting their awakened spirits ready to embrace whatever was ahead. Let us commit to discerning our next steps, she proposed. Bring these conversations back to our prayers this week. Look for those signs. But as they settled back into prayer, doubt gnawed at Sarah's heart once more. Were they truly prepared for what lay beyond that door? What if their steps led to unexpected challenges? With these questions buzzing, she led them into prayer, feeling undercurrents of fear and anticipation mixing in a strange harmony. God, however, had always been present with them, guiding through dark and light. Just as the meeting drew to a close, Sarah sensed a shift, a spark of divine revelation. What new chapters awaited them? Would they recognize the abundance already at their fingertips, or remain blind to the riches of spiritual growth? The air crackled with potential, and the question lingered, echoing into the space they had created together. What would they discover if they dared to open their hearts wider than ever before? The following week arrived with a sense of quiet expectation that enveloped Sarah and her friends. Each of them had taken to heart the idea of stepping forward in faith, and it had stirred something deep within them. As they gathered again, the air was thick with eagerness, a magnetic pull towards the promise of what lay ahead. Let us take a moment to share what we've experienced since our last meeting, Sarah suggested, the light in her eyes brightened with encouragement. Each heart beat a little louder in anticipation of testimonies that would echo the hope they all felt growing inside. Esther was the first to speak, her voice ringing with vitality. After buying the coat, I felt led to start a community food drive. I wasn't sure how it would go, but I rented a small room at the church, and within a week, we were overflowing with donations. People genuinely want to help. Gasps of surprise and joy filled the room. It was a reminder that when faith spreads its wings, it invites others to join in. Mark, who had sat quietly contemplating the previous meeting, spoke next. I've been struggling with my job. I worried about my stability. But after thinking things over, I reached out to my boss and volunteered for a project I believed would make a difference. To my surprise, it not only boosted the team's morale but also saved my job. God turned my fear into purpose. He breathed as if unveiling a miracle. Cheers erupted. Everyone felt the rush of energy, the interconnectedness of spirits daring to step into the unknown with trust. As the sharing continued, David revealed his own journey. I sensed a nudge to reach out to an old friend I lost touch with. I was scared of being rejected, but I did anyway, and she's been going through some struggles. Just by being there for her, I feel a wealth of purpose growing inside me. The room pulsed with shared stories of courage, strength, and unanticipated miracles. Laughter mingled with tears, joy with vulnerability. They were embarking on a collective journey, one where faith became the compass guiding them through uncertainty. Isn't it incredible? Sarah exclaimed, looking around at their glowing faces. Every act has unveiled abundance in ways we never expected. It's like we've stumbled upon a treasure map, and each step is leading us closer to an ever-growing understanding of God's generosity. But then came a thought, striking her with intensity. What if our glimpses of abundance lead us to even greater encounters? What if there are keys to unlock a deeper layer of miracles? Murmurs filled the space, an excited hum that danced amid the flickering candlelight. It felt as if they stood on the threshold of revelation. She took a breath, feeling the warmth of the moment wrap around her. Let us pray for divine insight. Let us seek what these gifts might be. What if the treasure we seek was there all along in our relationships, in service, in knowing Him more deeply? As they bowed their heads, Sarah's heart was ignited with expectation. She sensed that God loved them in their desire to seek, and that He would reveal to them more than they could imagine. Lord, she began softly, we thank You for the abundance we have experienced, but we humbly ask for more. Reveal those moments of divine connection, those keys that unlock the extraordinary in our ordinary lives. In the stillness that followed, Sarah felt a deep stirring within herself. It was as if a door was gently opening. She whispered, what if these keys reveal a path beyond our understanding, a path to freedom? The air seemed to shimmer with promise. Out of the depths of their fervent prayer, an unspoken tension thrummed intently. She could feel it resonating within each of her friends, the same wonder and worry coursing through them as they pondered what awaited them next. What could this freedom mean? What lives might they change? The sacred mystery hung heavily in the air, pregnant with possibility. They were on the brink of something life-altering, marked by prayers that would soon lead to steps of courage. As they raised their heads, Sarah looked into the eyes gathered around her. With every heartbeat, the piercing question remained, ready to launch them into the next phase. What if they were being called not only to receive abundance but to become vessels of divine transformation? The following meeting held a palpable weight of anticipation that settled over Sarah and her friends like a warm blanket. They sat closer together, their chairs forming a circle that symbolized unity in purpose and expectation. Candles flickered softly, casting gentle lights that danced across their faces, illuminating their eagerness for revelation. Let us spend some time in worship before we share today, Sarah suggested, the flicker of inspiration lighting her voice. She wanted to invite the presence of God to come and guide their conversation. As the group began to sing, their voices intertwined, creating a tapestry of praise that rose toward the heavens. There was a sense of freedom in their souls, unutterable burdens lifted as they proclaimed their faith. After the last note lingered in the air, Sarah felt compelled to suggest they go deeper. What if we truly open our hearts and ask God to reveal any new purpose or calling? A gentle hush fell over them, as they nodded, eyes sparkling with excitement. Esther broke the silence first. I've been thinking about the food drive, she said, her eyes shining. What if we also organized cooking classes for families who can't afford meals? I can teach basic cooking skills, and we can include recipes that use the food we gather. That way, we not only give food but also empower people. Wow, Esther! Mark exclaimed, leaning forward with enthusiasm. That's brilliant. It shifts from just providing to truly uplifting people. His words lit a spark in Sarah, who sensed that each idea offered was a key unlocking deeper levels of their potential to serve. The initial excitement of a simple food drive transformed into a vision of communal healing that thrummed with possibilities. They were stirring a pot of miracles, brewing something delicious far beyond their initial intentions. David chimed in, I feel urged to create a support circle for people going through tough times. Just listening can make a world of difference. Maybe we can share testimonies or devotions together, strengthening our community through shared experiences. The room resonated with approval, each sharing becoming a thread woven into a growing tapestry of purpose. Sarah's heart soared as she witnessed the transformation taking place. Side by side, they began to weave ideas and actions together, each one more expansive than the last. As the evening progressed, Sarah sensed the conversation shifting. The air thickened, electrifying with the presence of something greater. What if the abundance we're seeking goes even deeper? She posed, her voice steady as she looked around. What if it calls us not just to act, but to draw others into this journey with us? The muffled murmurs of agreement rose, and a sacred weight filled the space. The urgency thrummed in their hearts like a beating drum, each echoing the same fervent question. What if they were chosen to be modern-day vessels of miracles, bridging gaps in their community's spirit? They spent the remainder of the evening in prayer, their requests spilling forth like an overflowing well. Each one sought deeper insight into their divine purpose, each voice mingling in a symphony of trust and hope. Sarah noted how prayer began to stir their spirits. It paved the way for personal transformation. A few moments of quiet passed, and then Sarah offered a final thought. What if every act of love we commit becomes a ripple effect? What if we intentionally reach out to inspire those around us, initiating a wave of transformation? As they wrapped up, there was a new energy in the air. Their hearts were electric with expectation, fueled by the mentioned possibilities. Uncertainty danced with hope as they left, pondering the amazing journeys that lay ahead. With each step, they felt propelled towards something magnificent. They realized that what was unfolding wasn't just a series of events but a divine progression toward understanding their true callings. What awaits us in the next chapter? Rashida wondered aloud, and in that moment, the question echoed as their hearts beat in agreement. What? Miraculous connections were still waiting to be unveiled? The mystery deepened, thickening the air around them, as the promise of adventure shimmered just beyond their grasp. As the group dispersed into the cool night air, the stars glittered like scattered jewels in a blanket of deep navy. Each one of them felt a sense of urgency trailing after their spirited discussions. Sarah walked with Rashida, the two of them bubbling with anticipation. Can you feel it? Rashida asked, her eyes wide with wonder. It's like the air is charged with something powerful just waiting to burst forth. I know what you mean, Sarah replied. It's as if we've tapped into a divine current. Our prayers, they weren't just whispers. They were declarations. Just then, a soft breeze swept through, rustling the leaves above them. It felt warm, almost like a comforting embrace from heaven. They paused, letting the moment soak in, a sweet silence wrapping around them. This was a pause meant for reflection, a divine punctuation mark urging them to listen intently. Meanwhile, back in her home, Esther sat with a comforting cup of tea, her heart still brimming with the evening's discussions. She thought of the potential cooking classes and felt a spark of inspiration. What if I included health tips too? She mused aloud, jotting notes, her pen flowing like a river of ideas. Not too far away, David pondered the same theme of community connection. He sat on his balcony, gazing into the distance where the town lights flickered. Are we called to take steps that could change lives? He whispered to himself, knowing that the answer was likely waiting within the hearts of those around him. The next morning brought with it a tranquility that felt heavy with promise. Sarah awoke early, sunlight spilling through her window like warm honey. She knelt in prayer, heart full of the dreams born from the night before. Lord, she whispered, help us to see the bigger picture. Show us where we are meant to go. As she finished, an idea surged within her, a vision for a community gathering. What if we hold a vision day? She thought excitedly. A time for everyone to come together and share ideas. The thought electrified her spirit. With a day filled with possibilities ahead, she gathered her courage and reached out to her friends. She texted them all, the message humming with excitement. Let's plan a community vision day. Who's in? Responses began to flood back, each one echoing enthusiasm. Mark's reply came first, count me in. Let's do this. Then Esther, I can help with the food. David soon followed suit, eager to support the vision. As they gathered later in the day, their excitement melded into a palpable energy that filled Sarah's heart with joy. It was contagious. Each friend brought unique gifts and insights, their enthusiasm propelling them to even greater heights. While they brainstormed, a profound moment of stillness swept over them. Sarah closed her eyes, sensing God's presence amongst them. What if this vision day isn't just about us? She stated, her voice solemn yet hopeful. What if it transforms not only our community but reaches out beyond what we can even imagine? A silence fell as the weight of her words sunk in. This was not just a gathering, it was a divine call to action ringing out through their hearts like a heavenly bell. Suddenly, Rashida's voice broke through the quiet. We shouldn't limit ourselves. What if there are individuals out there, waiting for an invitation to share their gifts too? A realization swept through them, a spark igniting hope like never before. Each friend contemplated the great unknown, pondering who else might hear the call to gather. Sarah smiled, feeling the gravity of their potential. They were on the brink of something monumental. With renewed energy, they resumed planning, the possibilities expanding with each spoken word, and just as their outlines of plans took shape, a thought leapt into Sarah's mind. But what God has not yet revealed might be the most incredible part of this journey. She held on to that thought, knowing intuitively that this was just the beginning, what divine surprises awaited them as they stepped into this new chapter. The mystery danced in the air, beckoning them forward with a promise that something truly extraordinary was just around the corner. The morning sun glimmered through the windows, creating a warm glow that seemed to wrap around the friends like a comforting hug. With fresh excitement, they reconvened, ready to transform their vision into a reality. Sarah glanced around the room at their eager faces, each one illuminated by the hope of what lay ahead. "Let's begin by sharing our inspirations," Sarah encouraged, her voice holding a buoyancy that ignited their spirits. Rashida initiated, her words spilling with enthusiasm. "I believe we should create a space for creativity. It's about bringing everyone's unique talents to the table. What if we made stations for art, music, and cooking?" Mark nodded fervently. "Yes. And we could have workshops on writing and storytelling. Everyone has a story inside them that deserves to be shared." David leaned in, his eyes sparkling. "Amongst all this, let us create a space for prayer and reflection too. A quiet corner where anyone can come and connect with God." The ideas flowed like a fresh stream, each voice adding to the vibrant tapestry of possibilities. Their hearts soared as they recognized that this gathering was morphing into a vibrant celebration of community and faith, a divine tapestry woven from threads of hope and connection. As they planned, a hush enveloped the room again, inviting them to pause. Sarah closed her eyes, inviting God's presence into their midst. The air thickened with anticipation, almost electric with divine inspiration. "Lord, we trust that you guide our steps, reveal to us the depth of this vision," she whispered. Then, unexpectedly, Esther broke the stillness, her voice low but firm. "What if our gathering could extend beyond ideas? What if we offered real support to those in need?" She looked around, her gaze earnest. "We could collect supplies for the homeless or plan a fundraising event for local charities." A wave of agreement washed over the group as they considered her suggestion. David, his heart swelling, added, "This could be a double blessing, serving those who come while reaching out to help those less fortunate." Rashida's eyes shone brightly. "It's as if God is asking us to look beyond ourselves in this venture." In that moment, it felt as if a veil had lifted. They were no longer just a group of friends, they had become vessels of God's love, poised to impact not just their community, but the very fabric of lives woven around them. Excitement surged through their hearts, igniting a unified purpose. They dove into planning details, their conversations enlivened by laughter and the warm glow of shared passion. Ideas began to crystallize, though the fine structures of each plan were still delicate, like gossamer threads of a spider's web glistening in the morning light. But as they sketched ideas on paper, Sarah felt a gentle tug in her spirit. A reality check washed over her, reminding her that every great journey begins with a challenge. The excitement was intoxicating, yet the possibility of obstacles loomed. Would they truly be able to pull this off? With a deep breath, she shared her thoughts. "We need to be prepared for setbacks. Sometimes, the road is rocky, and faith will guide us." The group fell silent as they absorbed her words. Then, Mark spoke up, a hopeful smile on his face. "But isn't that part of the adventure? We may face challenges, but we'll also see miracles unfold. Like how God multiplied the loaves and fishes." "Yes." Rashida chimed in, radiating conviction. "Every step of faith unlocks a door to his miracles. We forge ahead, trusting him." Just as they began to refocus on the day's plans, a sudden knock resonated through the room. All heads turned to the door, eyes wide with curiosity. Who could be at the door, interrupting their divine planning? There, silhouetted against the sunlight, stood a stranger. But this was no ordinary visitor. It was a person from the outskirts of the community, someone they had never seen before, yet someone who seemed to carry an aura of a divine message. "What brings you here?" Sarah asked, the air thick with anticipation. As the stranger stepped into the room, their world was about to tilt on its axis. Could this visitor hold crucial insight for their vision day? What divine connections awaited just beyond their current understanding? As the stranger entered, the atmosphere shifted. They looked around at the group, their eyes shining with an unusual light. "Hello," they spoke softly, yet with a heartfelt resonance. I felt compelled to come here, as if guided by something beyond me. I hear you're planning a gathering? A wave of curiosity washed over Sarah and her friends, excitement and disbelief mingling within them. Yes, we are, Sarah replied earnestly, her heart racing with anticipation. We want to create a space for sharing, healing, and unity within our community. The stranger smiled and nodded. I've been wandering these streets for a while now, seeking connection. My journey led me to you today. I see you are on a path to something great, a path where love and faith unite. And I believe that together, you can reach far beyond your expectations. The friends exchanged glances, sensing that this moment was infused with divine significance. What is your name? Rashida asked, leaning closer, intrigued by the aura that surrounded this unexpected guest. Call me Hope, the stranger said, a gentle smile gracing their face. I've seen communities flourish through faith and selflessness. Your intention to serve will impact countless lives. Laughter erupted, mingling with tears as they realized the power of their purpose. They were not alone on this journey, inspiration had come to foster their dreams. Please, sit with us and share your thoughts, Sarah invited warmly, her spirit igniting with visions of what could unfold. As they spoke, Hope told stories of other communities transformed through acts of kindness, faith, and unity. Each tale was a divine tapestry of courage and connection, echoing the very essence of what the group hoped to achieve. Remember, Hope urged, true abundance is found in serving one another, turning your eyes to those around you. By doing so, you'll unearth treasures that money can't buy. His words dripped wisdom, fanning the flames of excitement within each heart. With renewed vigor, Sarah and her friends brainstormed fresh ideas inspired by Hope's stories. They envisioned outreach programs, ways to gather resources for the needy, and workshops that would empower the community. The walls surrounding their hearts began to fade, allowing love to fill the space instead. Hours flew by, laughter and overwhelmed gratitude intertwining seamlessly. Just as they wrapped up their meeting, Hope stood. You have something beautiful building here. When is your vision day? Next Saturday, Mark replied, passion bubbling in his voice. Make it a celebration of faith and love. Invite all known and unknown, Hope encouraged, their presence laced with a gentle urgency. Extend the invitation wide enough for those who need hope to find it. Sarah's heart swelled, the weight of purpose settling among them. This was not just about them anymore. The stranger had ignited a passion deep within, reigniting the flames of their faith. Thank you, dear friend, Sarah murmured, overwhelmed. There's a profound clarity to what you've shared. Trust in the journey, and remember, Hope added with intent, the seeds you sow will grow far beyond what you can see right now. The group stood together, awash with joy and determination. As Hope turned to leave, Sarah felt a surge of gratitude rise within her. Wait. Can we pray together before you go? Hope smiled and nodded, joining their circle. They closed their eyes and lifted their voices to God. Each one prayed fervently, surrendering their hopes, dreams, and fears, intertwining them into a unified tapestry of faith. Lord, let our hearts overflow with your abundance. May we be vessels of change, wisdom, and love. Help us serve our community and unveil the divine connections waiting to be made. A sacred silence hung in the air, thick with expectation. As they opened their eyes, Hope was gone, vanished into thin air like a breath of fresh wind. Did that really happen? Rashida blinked, astonished. It did. Esther exclaimed, tears rolling down her cheeks as joy bubbled within. This is just the beginning. With hearts ablaze and confidence soaring, they spent the remaining days preparing for their vision day. They reached out into the community, inviting everyone, rallying support, and planning how they would serve their neighbors and the marginalized. The day arrived, and the sun beamed in approving light. Laughter filled the air, the gathering blossoming into a celebration of faith and resilience. The streets echoed with music, voices sharing stories and heartfelt laughter, as people came together, families, friends, and even those who were strangers only yesterday. As the hours flew by, their unity deepened. People mingled, sharing ideas, expressing passions, and forming connections that brought color to their lives. This gathering was not merely about the offerings presented, it was about hearts sewn together through divine love. At one moment, Sarah stood in the midst of it all, joy swelling in her heart. Around her were the very faces she had once prayed for, doubtful, fearful, but now bold and radiant with hope. In that moment, she realized, abundance had manifested in ways far beyond her initial understanding. It overflowed not in material wealth, but in friendships, shared stories, laughter, and love. She smiled to the heavens, a prayer of gratitude spilling forth. Father, you have shown us. You've unlocked not just wealth, but the true richness of faith. Thank you for every step taken. The crowd erupted in applause as stories of transformed hearts echoed around her, each testament a piece of His divine glory. As night fell, stars twinkled overhead like beacons of hope, serving as a reminder of the miracles waiting just beyond the horizon. Sarah glanced at her friends, knowing that this was not an ending but the start of something profound, a journey into the fullness of God's abundant love. Let us continue, she said, her voice echoing with promise. Let us wrap this night in prayer for every life touched tonight, and for those yet to cross our path. The group knelt together, hearts intertwined in faith, ready to step boldly into whatever divine adventure awaited them next. Their prayers rose, weaving a tapestry of hope into the night sky, illuminating their journey ahead. Now, dear friends, this is your moment. If you felt a spark igniting in your spirit, don't wait even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. You need to subscribe now. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let these messages of hope spread. Comment your reactions and testimony about this ending. Your words hold power. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this miraculous manifestation. Show your love and support. Only true servants of God understand the importance of uplifting each other through these actions.